In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a full walkthrough of how to use PageFly as a complete beginner. I'm going to teach you what each different feature does and the best ways you can use it to build an amazing landing page or product page. Now, I've personally used PageFly to generate over $2 million on Shopify. It's an amazing page builder, and I'm going to teach you all the tips and tricks that I've learned from using it. So let's get right into the video. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is come down to the link in the description, and there should be a link there that will get you access to PageFly. So click on that link and then you can add it to your store like this. Now PageFly gives you a free trial where you can have one free page, so we're going to go ahead and do that, and that's good enough to start creating with. So now that we're inside of the PageFly app here, we're going to go ahead and click on this button here that says Start Creating Pages. So I'm going to click that. And we've got two options here. We can start by creating from a blank page, or we can use a template. Now, if you're new or you're just wanting to get started quickly, I'd recommend using a template. It will help you a lot, and you can edit these templates. So that's what I'm going to go and do today. So I'm going to click Create from Template. Now it's going to ask you what page you want to create it for. So for us, I'm going to create a product page. Now, from here, you can see that we've got a lot of different templates we can choose from. And depending on your industry and what you sell in your store, you can pick a different template for yourself. Now, for me, I like to keep it simple with the templates because it gives you a little bit more flexibility to go ahead and edit it. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick this one called Write On. So I'm going to click Select. And here we are. We are now inside of the builder. So I'm just going to zoom out a tiny bit so we can see what's going on. Now, the first thing you'll notice here is that it's asking, you can't see the product page section up here. And the reason for that is because we need to select a product. Now, I don't have any products on this store right now, so I'm going to add one and then I'll come back. So I've gone ahead and added the product. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on this bit here that says product details. We're going to go to the right hand side here. We're going to click select product, and we're going to go ahead and select the product I added. So I've just added, I called it new back to school pen set, but it's actually a watch. So you can see right away, it's added all the information in dynamically from the product page. So the way it's done that is through the product details section. And essentially there's a few different details in here that will change depending on the product. So if you have a store with lots of different products on it, then the things are going to dynamically change. So that's something good to note, which means that I can't go into here and manually change this because it's a product title block. So it will change based upon what's on Shopify. So the first step here, what I would do is I'd go ahead to the product title and stuff like that. And I would make everything a little bit smaller. I think this is too big. So to start off, I'm going to click on this box here, the product title box. I'm going to go to the right hand side, and we've got a few options here. We can use the HTML tag tool. So if you want to have a global size for the H3, for example, you can do that. If not, you can go in here, you can just change it individually. So what we'll do is we click on it, we'll go to styling, and on the styling section you can change a load of things. So first of all, I'm going to change the color. I'm going to change it to black. Now down here you can select different colors, or you can have these set colors in here, and I'll teach you how to change the set colors later. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to check the font. So again, like the colors, we can pick the font family here, and you can predefine different fonts for your theme so that it's all like in one, it's all the same. Or you can go ahead and just change the font individually for each different thing. Now to do that, you're going to have to press this little cog icon, and then here they have some Google fonts, or you can upload fonts here, but you have to do it in global styles. But I'll show you how to do that later. So I'm just going to pick the Montserrat font. I think that's quite a good one. I'm going to press select, and now it should pop up here. There we go, Montserrat, just like that. Now if I want to change the weight of the font, so some fonts have like skinny, bold, extra bold, all that kind of stuff, I can go down here to the more settings tab, and for the font weight, I'm going to I can change it here. So for me, I'm going to put it as black because I like it really bold. I think it looks good. Now we can go ahead here, and for the font size, we can change this. For me, I don't like to have the, for mobile, I don't like to have fonts above 30. Desktop, it depends what it is. 24 is a pretty good font size, maybe up to 30 for desktop. Now when you're editing it, it will look smaller than it's actually going to be when it's published. But there we go, we've changed the font here. Now there's tons of different styling settings in here. I'll show you the ones that are useful for text. So you can use any of these, but you'll want to use the font size tool, the text alignment. So this is similar to like Word. So for example here, we can put it onto the left, central, right, or we can have it, I think that's supposed to be spread out, but it doesn't seem to work. But I usually would just align it to the left. We can also bold it. That doesn't seem to work, I think because it's to do with the weight of the font. We can do that, underline it, strike through, all that kind of stuff. Now the next thing we can do down here is background color. So the background color is not going to be for this full section, it's only going to be for this box here. So it's not super useful. It might be good if you want to make it look like you've highlighted it, but you can see there, it kind of looks funny. So I'm just going to undo that and remove that. But essentially those are all of the useful ones for the text thing. Now let's look at the global properties that I was talking about earlier. So we can click here on the color and press edit property global style. Now from here, this will allow us to go ahead and set the different colors for each one. So for example, for it says color 5, we could change this to main text. And then we can click on here, go to the right, and we can select what color we want our main text to be here. And it means that everything that is in the main text thing is going to be this color. So we can go ahead and press publish, and that will publish it to all of the things that are main text. Now, there's more things you can do on the global tag, so I'll show you that now. We can go ahead over to font family, and like I said a minute ago, we can go into font family, you can put main text, for example. We can go in and we can select the font family. Again, we'll do it with the little cog icon here. We can go through and we can select different ones here, or we can go ahead and we can actually upload a font. And you go to the uploaded font section, you can just add your own font in there like that. If not, you can just use the pre-defined Google fonts. So let's just pick this. Then we can go ahead here and select it. And now anything with the main text, or yeah, the main text tag will have this like that. Click publish, just like that. We can go ahead and do this for different things. So we've got headings, paragraphs, buttons. So with buttons, you can change the style of the buttons. This is a lot more customization on here. So you can change the content color. So content color means the text in here. So we could change that to black if we wanted to. We can change the padding. So the padding is how much padding there is around the text. So if we put 0 here, you can see it's not very padded. But if we put something like 30, it's kind of too padded. So like 15 looks pretty good. Sometimes you might want it a bit longer, so you might put it like 20 each side, just like this. And then margin, I think you should leave that. Margin is basically the gap between this element and the thing above it, I guess. In here we can change the font, so we can use the font family thing we just did, or we can go ahead and just add a different font in here like that. Now we can change the font size, and remember this means that every time you use this style of button, these are going to be the predefined things, so you won't really be able to change them. So we put 18 in here, we'll put text in the middle, and then we'll put the weight as, maybe we'll do bold, just like that. Now background color, this is kind of an important one. This is the color of the button itself. So you can pick a predefined color, or you can go in here and edit it. So greens work well. Greens, blues, reds are the best kind of button colors, I think. We can just pick a blue here. Just put that, for example. Now with the blue, the text will probably look better if it's white, like that. Cool. Now we can also have a background image on the button if we want to. And we can upload an image from our computer and use it as the background. So I'll show you how to do that. So I've just added this little Lego photo that I'd made. If I select it, it's going to put that as the background. Now this looks kind of good if you want to have like gradient backgrounds, or maybe you want to have some kind of texture as a background. That's kind of a good use for it. Now, when you go to the more settings section, you can position it, so you can change where it is. I'm going to put center. Now you can change how it repeats, so you can have it repeating in different ways or not repeat. Then you can have, does it cover it? So cover means it's going to fit the whole thing in if possible, or as much as possible. Contain means it's going to fit the whole thing in, but you can see on the edges there's some issues. And then we've got some scrolling. So basically, depending on how you scroll, it's going to change where it is. So I'm going to remove this because this is obviously a bad photo for it. It'd be good if you had like a gradient or something, but that's not the best for it. So that's how you basically set up a button. Then also what you can do for the button is you can do it on the state. So often you'll see when you hover over a button, it will go hollow on the inside and the outside will sort of change. So the way we want to do this is we would want to go ahead and first of all, I'd say add a border. So I would say pick a border that's the same color as the background. So I'm just going to copy that across, put it in here, just like this. Now we can go ahead and actually add some. I'm going to put 2 here for the width, and then we can actually add radius, and the radius basically means the edges will be curved. So I usually do like 17, but you can basically go more if you want it to be like a pill shaped, or if you want it slightly curved, you can go like 10. So I'm going to go and put it at 17, like that. And then what we can do from here is we can go over to the different states. So we've got the mouse over state here. So basically is when you hover over it. So if you hover over it, this is what it's going to look like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the same background color and I'm going to paste that in here, just like that. And then for the background color, it's going to go as see-through. So you can just put it on white and then move the opacity all the way down like this. Then for border style, you want to basically make the border the exact same as before. So I believe we had 2 in there. I think we had 17. And then the color is this. So that should, and I'll have a look in a minute. See if oh, there we go. See, it works. So you can see there, when I hover over it, it kind of goes hollow. Now it's good. It's important to keep everything the same, because if not, then I'll show you. If I had it like a bigger border, if I had a border of like 5, when I hover over it, it changes shape. It doesn't look too good. So it's better instead to put like 2, put the same size each time like that. But you can see it looks pretty cool. So I can publish that just like that. And that is the button settings for the most part, basically everything you need to know. Next up we have image. So images, you can see basically the different styles. So you might want to have a border, you might want to have a border in padding, you might want to make it a circle with a border, a circle with a border and padding. So what we can do is we can just, similar to what we just did there, we can add a border, we can pick the color, I'll paste the color we just used in. We can select the width of the border, basically how thick it is, and then we can add the radius like that. So that's what the different images will look like when you put an image tab on, if you just use it as this style. Now it's a good idea to set it up like this, set up all your styles like this, because it means that everything is the same. It means that you've got continuity across your website, which will make it look professional. Next up we have the icons. So you can change the icons here. The content color, so content is the middle, so you can have it black. We'll just put white here. And then I'm going to go down and I'm going to change the background color to our blue, just to add a little bit of continuity. And then I'm going to add a border. In fact, I'm not going to add a border, I'm just going to add a radius. So I'm going to put like 20. And now you can see it's like a blue circle. If I put 17, yeah, it's the same. Yeah, so this one is a bit more reactive to the border. And then again, you can fiddle with all these mouse overstay and that stuff. Just click publish. And lastly, we've got dividers. So a divider is like a little thing that goes between sections. And I'm just going to put it in like hit this. I'll probably just leave it like that actually. So you can publish it. And these are the global styles and settings. And you want to set that up first, in my opinion. That will help you to keep everything looking good and all the same. So now we can go back. And I'm going to go back to the page that we built. So I've just gone ahead and saved it, and I'm going to turn on auto save. This will basically auto save it, and this is just good in case something goes wrong. Now if you press save and publish, it's going to go ahead and publish it to your website. Press continue, then you can assign which products you want it to be published to. Click publish, and there we go. Now you've got two options here. You can view the live page, or you can preview it. If you press preview, well, if you press either of them, they're going to require you to put your password in if you haven't paid for it, or if you haven't disabled the password page. I'm just going to refresh the page now that we've changed the global settings. And if I go onto here, you can see now that if I go to main text, this is going to be the main text one. If I select something else and I put main text on it, it's going to set that to main text. So there we go. See main text there, just like that. Now I'm going to show you a little bit more about how the whole styling kind of works. So you can see here the back to school button. We've got, or the new back to school pen set text. You see there's quite a lot of a gap between this next section here, and that's because if you go over here, you look on the margin, that is margin basically. So I put this to 0, you're going to see the gap is going to go away a lot. It's not going to be completely gone, like they're not going to be inside each other, but if you really wanted that, you could put like -20, -30, you know, and they're going to go. But it's good to kind of keep it as 0, because if things overlap each other, it can look weird and stuff. So now I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to change this to 18, maybe 22. And you can just, I can click on the different elements to see what their padding is, all that kind of stuff. Now one tip is, if you want to, if you're struggling to find where some padding is, for example, what you want to do is you want to click on the individual elements. So for example, this here, if you can see here, we can't, there's no padding on this. I mean, there's 8 here, we can put this to 0. But then what you can do is you press the up arrow on your keyboard, and it should go up to the next layer. If not, you can see up here, this will tell you what it's inside. So you've got this compare at price, it's inside the product price. So you can see, okay, this has margin here, put that as 0, which is inside a column, and you can look at the different column padding, which is inside a row, and you can see, oh, this has -30, so you can put that to 0 if you wanted to. You see it inside a product, details, inside column, inside row, which has got -15, and then inside section, just like that. So you can see at the top of the section, we've got a lot of padding here. We want as little padding at the top as possible. We want to get straight to the product details if we can. So there you go, you see we've already made that a little bit smaller. Now for a lot of elements, they'll have some general things that you can fiddle with. So if we click on the product price section here, we can go to general, and there are some settings here we can change. So the price display, do we want it to have, so this setting is having the current price and then the compare at price next to it. So you can put that one, or we can have just the price or just the compare at price, depends. And then we can change the price position. So we can have it this way, we can have it this way, so it's on the right, we can have it above, we can have it below like that. Pick whichever one you want. Something else that's very useful is if you want to, or in some cases you might need to have a completely different element created for mobile and desktop. You can hide one on desktop, and that's basically it's not gonna show up on desktop. You do that with any of them, so you can do hide on desktop, hide on laptop, hide on tablet, hide on mobile. Now down here you've got animations and stuff. I don't mess with these much. They make the page a little bit laggy, and they don't tend to be that useful. You might want to do it on an add to cart button maybe, but for anything else it's going to just make it look goofy and not that good in my opinion. So that's basically how you use the editor over here. Now I'm going to go over to the left hand side and we have the add element section. I'm going to try and walk through all of these elements and what they do. So yeah, let's start with this here, which is the layout. So the layout is basically just like one of these. It basically allows you to do columns, or you can see here it allows you to do one big one, some columns, 3, 4, or do it like different ways. So if we were to go ahead and grab, if we were to go ahead and grab the one that has 3, for example, we could place that in here. It's gonna have 3 columns, and what we can actually do is if we want to have one of the columns smaller, we can go ahead and drag it down like this, and we could like split the other 2 up like this, or we could have 2 that are really tiny, 1 big one. And basically inside the columns you can take different elements, duplicate this here, drag it in, and we could have it like that. But basically you can just segment out like this if you want to. Next up we have content list. So these are basically pre-made templates of how you list bits of content. So you might have your pricing in here. If you drag it in, you can go ahead and edit all of these just like this. Next up we have the slideshow. Pretty self-explanatory. Makes a slideshow. They're different. They're slightly different style, each of them. That's the main differences between them. Some of them might have bits, the other ones don't. But inside here we can select the images. We've got the different sliders, and there's just basically loads of settings in here, the same as before, that you can mess around with to style it how you want basically. Next up we have the tabs. So tabs are like, I'll show you here. So if you have like an FAQ, for example, or you have like in here you might have FAQ, and then this, I put underscore there, and then this one you might have shipping, and then this one you might have size chart. This is going to allow you to click between them, and the content down here is going to change depending on what's in it. So we could go ahead over to here and we could add a paragraph, for example. We could drag it in here, and then this paragraph will be in the FAQ thing. And if we go to shipping, we can add a table, same as size chart. We can basically have this, and it's a good way of saving space on the page while allowing people to see what they're looking for easily. And lastly, we have the accordion. So accordions are very useful for FAQs, and basically these are just styled differently. We drag it in here, and accordion is basically like those little drop downs, very common in FAQs. So in here, you go to the right here, we can change it. So how long does shipping take? And similarly to the last bit that we did, we can just drag in a paragraph or something into this one. You can drag in anything into this really. And when you click on the drop down, it's going to open up like that. Again, you can just use all of the different styling features I spoke about earlier and I showed you on here. It just takes a little bit of time to get used to and understand what each different bit does. Now next up we have the basic things here. So you've got your headings, so you can have a normal heading here, or you can have a heading that has an icon next to it. You click on the icon, and if you click select icon, they have a list of pre-made icons in here. So we've got tons of them. We can click on it, and we can go ahead, change the size, and if we go into here, we can change the color of it. Let's change it to this. You can go ahead and stylize it the way you want. The same with the paragraph, and then we got the buttons here. So if we look from earlier, we should be able to go to one of these bits, and we should be able to find our global style from earlier and use that. Oh, here we go. So we can just use this one here, and then we've added our global style. Now for some reason, I think because the color is changed in here, it's not doing the color we want, but it's fine. On the button, you can go ahead onto the general tab, and you can have an icon, text with icon, or text only. You can change the text here. You know, a full width button, so it goes across the whole thing. And then here's the action. So you can go to URL, open a pop-up, scroll to section, send email, call number. Scroll to section is a pretty good one. You can select which section you want. So when someone clicks it, it can scroll down. So you might have a check pricing button, and you click it and it goes onto the pricing section, for example. Next up, we've got lists. So lists are pretty useful. This is, you might want to put this in your product box up here. So you might want to put it in here. And you can have your first item on the list, waterproof, for example. And you can just go ahead and do those. And if you want to delete them, remove any or add more, you can go ahead, delete here, or you can add another one there, just like that. Now with the list, you can have them with dots, you can have it with numbers, or you can have icons, whatever you'd like to do. Next up, we have the HTML/liquid sections. This is where you can just go and put some custom HTML in. This is pretty useful for some custom parts, but you kind of have to know a little bit what you're doing to do that. Next up, we have the icon, self-explanatory, and then we have the divider we spoke about earlier, which you can put in here like that. After that, we have image, pretty self-explanatory again. YouTube video, so we can just drag that in very easily, and we just paste a link to the YouTube video, and there's a load of settings in here. Vimeo video, HTML video, and SoundCloud, all self-explanatory. Same with the socials, you can add different social feeds, you can add social buttons, that kind of stuff. And in advanced, we've got a QR code, which I've actually not seen before. I'm guessing you could add a QR code. Table, countdown. Countdown timers are very useful, especially if you have a sale going on. Google Map, progress, so you can have like a 20% less or sort of thing on there. And you've got MailChimp form field, and MailChimp form button, which I won't go into detail today, but these will allow you to get people to sign up to your newsletter, which is pretty useful. Now next up, we have the Shopify elements. So this is what I was talking about earlier. These are dynamic, so product list, if I show you a product list here, what else we got up here? I can dynamically add a product list, and I can select a collection, and this is going to list out products from a collection basically. This is really good for upselling people and sort of increasing AOV and stuff. Each of these different things here, you've got like product media, stuff like that. The product media is going to be the product photos, product title is title, product vendor, price, description, all of that stuff. These are going to be taken directly from the product page on Shopify. So whatever you've put in the product elements boxes, that's what's going to come up. And yeah, you've got add to cart button, all of that kind of stuff. Same with collection, you can add specific collections in here. You can add all the details, and this is going to come from the collection section inside of Shopify. Next up, we have forms. So you might have contact us, that kind of stuff. You can put all the different types of form here, which is pretty useful. You've got the buttons, and then you've got a search form, so you can have a search bar, which is pretty useful. And then we have blogs down here, so if you want to add a blog post, all that different stuff. These are going to get dynamically taken from the blog section, I believe. Now next up is the third-party elements section. So this will allow you to integrate third-party apps into PageFly. So this is very useful if you've got apps such as, Wide Bundle, if you've got review apps, and you can just basically turn them on here. There's so many different ones you can go ahead and use. And you can press close and they should pop up here. Now each of the different apps are going to have different widgets inside of them. So there will be different documentation on how to use each different widget. So for the reviews app here, it's going to tell you how to add the review buttons and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to go in more detail in a different video, I can go ahead and do that. And then we have the extra third-party applications, which actually has a lot more stuff in it. So if you want to add something like recharge, I don't know why it's not on there. Maybe it's in this one. Oh yeah, so recharge is in here actually. So this one is the one that has more actually. But yeah, here's some extra third-party applications that you might want to go ahead and use. So yeah. So now that you've gone ahead and built your product page or whatever, you want to go ahead and publish it here, and that will publish it to your website. Now something else you can do up here is view from different devices. So you'll want to have your mobile and desktop to be quite different, and a lot of your traffic will probably be from mobile. So I usually like to optimize just on mobile first because it's the most important for me, especially with Facebook, Instagram ads, that kind of thing. So I always like to start off with here, and you can see here this is massive, and I would put this down to like 24, probably max, around that. So you can go ahead and save that, and it's gonna be ready to go. And that is basically how you go about using PageFly. There's a lot more that goes into it, but this is just a basic rundown of it. And I've tried to explain everything as much as possible. But if you have any questions, leave them down below. And if you found the video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe and comment down below that it helped. And thank you for watching.